Hey yo, what is up everyone? It is your boy Shazman21 and welcome to another video by your boy Shazman21. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about fan service in anime. Yes sir. We're going to be talking about the you know what I'm saying? The yams, the whatever you want to call it, Like, this one's the safe of work edition because I ain't gonna go too crazy on it. But in case you guys don't quite know what a fan service is, it's basically just, some things that goes down. And speaking of which, we're gonna go ahead and just list off, some 7 things about fan service or whatever. It's basically just a bullet point, but really, we'll just go with, 7 things about fan service, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that'd be a kind of cool title. 7 things about fan service. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. I'll just listen to them off real quick. So starting with number 1, it is what is the definition of fan service? Does fan service serve a purpose to the story? Why does fan service attract young teenage boys? Wording, but we'll get to it. Can fan service be a detriment towards women and relationships? We'll see. Is fan service mainly sexual in nature, or can there be different fan service that are non-sexual? How do video games or any media or whatever handle fan service compared to animes? And is there a right or wrong way to understand fan service? And we'll see how we're gonna get to that philosophical question here in a minute, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started in this video. This one's gonna be a little short to say because it's good. It's short and straight to the point. So let's go ahead and real quick look up the definition of fan service. Now I'm recording live, but anyways, let's go ahead and look it up real quick. Boom, here we go. So this one is it says in dictionary.com loosely. All right, so it says noun. Material added to a work of fiction for the perceived or actual purpose of appealing to the audience. Used especially for material that is ridiculous or sexual in nature. The episode has a lot of fan service. Oh, this is an example. For example, the episode of Insert Any Anime had a lot of fan service, including scantily clad characters. Sounds like 80 or 90% of almost every anime, not including shoujo, but otherwise, yeah, I would say sort of counts. So basically, it's just a work of fiction of perceived or actual purpose of appealing to the audience, which is mainly again, men, more specifically teenage boys, but we'll get to that in a minute. But it's just the demographic for all this and everything is mainly to target teenage boys when it comes to that, and also because of power fantasies and all types of good stuff. Which, again, nothing wrong with that because hey, you gotta get your bread up somehow. So, hey, what else can you get some money by getting some audience that is gravitating towards the stuff that you create, as long as it's actually like a good work and not like a half done or haphazard or half-assed work, because nobody wants that shit, not even in anime or in manga. Trust me, I know. Anyways, that is the definition of fan service. Next one would be, does fan service serve a purpose to the story? So for me personally, I would say that it depends on the. Oh, hold up. Hey, 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 hey. It's your boy, Shazman21, eating ice cream. Hey. Anyway, sorry. I was hearing the ice cream song. I haven't heard that in quite a long time. That actually brought me back some good memories. Damn. That's crazy. Anyways, let's get back to work. Okay, so for me personally, I would say that fan service does sort of have a purpose in the story. It really depends on it, because like, let's say if it's like, a I don't know, just a funny story about certain characters doing their thing, um then yeah, fan service is fine. I mean, High School DxD comes to mind majority of the time. There is plot that does happen, but it's just mainly because of the what happens in that, mostly like a lot of good stuff that happens, but otherwise, it does, in that case it would serve a purpose, because it's basically just all types of sexual things that goes down there. But otherwise, yeah, nah. Any other like shows that like have some type of fan service, it's does somewhat, but does not. It just like, again, beach episodes. I mean, depends on like which one we're talking about. Like, my personal favorite would be like the one in Fairy Tale. Like, that one was really really good. But anything else that has like a beach episode or whatnot, or just anything that's like, have those like weird awkward moments, I'm just like, it's weird at times. Heck, even that scene with like Naruto turned into a girl or whatnot was. I mean, at first it was funny, but now looking back at it, I'm like, that was kind of strange. I don't know why they did that, but nonetheless, it did happen, and it did serve some purpose, I guess, to get Dry's attention. Although that was kind of a weird thing, but then again, Dry is a hornball, so yeah, doesn't excuse the fact that he was trying to get up on Naruto, especially the when he turned into a different version, sexy jutsu. You know what I'm saying? But it was it was weird, man. I was just like, whatever. But yeah, it just depends on on the story. But for me personally, I would say, you know, even though I do enjoy fan service, it kind of does take away a little bit from the story, especially if it's like that good. So like, for example, um, mm, Attack on Titan, I guess, where there's just like loads of fan service of like, you know characters like, this is not to say in no ways like I hated it. It was just like, I don't know. It was just interesting. Like, Mikasa, Aaron, and Armin were like getting sent on. I mean, of course, Levi always gets sent on all the time from season one all the way up to season four and stuff. So that's already a given. But otherwise, yeah, it was just interesting fan service. But otherwise, I was like, because the thing was, the story started also getting a little like convoluted too. It went from like Titans to then like the whole entire world having to bear witness to Aaron's BS essentially. But I don't know, it was weird. But otherwise, yeah, it's a compelling story. But sometimes the fan service gets a little like a little weird at times. But it is what it is. That's just my opinion though. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to another topic. How are we doing time? Doing all right. Doing light work. Um, why does fan service attract young teenage boys? The thing is, even though that is like the main demographic, the reason why it is, something that, most teenage boys do finalize, especially way in Japan or whatnot, is because, way over there, the way that they handle their sexual themes is a little bit different, because, I don't know if this like situation got any better, or just I'm probably not the right person to talk about this necessarily, but just from what I've heard the last time about like, what had happened with Japan, especially with its like marriage and all this other stuff going on, it's like there's a lot of like singleness out there, loneliness, because just like, the work schedule being like what in the entire what at times, and just the husband never coming back to the home, like, honestly, ever. And that sucks even more than just like what we're dealing with right now with 9 to 5. But even then, that's also kind of a pain in the ass, especially you know, how they overwork or tries to attempt to overwork. Whereas like Japan, it's like, oh no, you gotta work for the rest of your damn life, essentially. But I don't know. I don't know if it's changed up a bit. I mean, I hope it did, but I don't know. That's just like from the last time, and then on top of that, you know, a lot of like teenage boys wasn't getting play or whatnot. I don't know. It's interesting. So that's probably the reason. And then on top of that, you know, us teenage boys, regardless of where we're at, you know, we do sometimes fantasize about other things. Now, unless like your sexuality is like completely different, like you may have may have some like, you know, different fantasies with something else than, you know, other boys or whatever when it comes to girls. But besides all that, just the male fantasies in that is just, you know, basically, you know, oh, I'm a hero and I also am like horny all the time and I like this girl and she's cool, but also I kind of want to and all this other stuff. It's complicated, so you know it catered towards that, and sometimes the characters in it, especially in the Isekai series too, where it's just like they're just like so bland, and basically it's just a self insert of, you know, you the person, although it's a little weird because considering like the good buddy acts more nervous, but then again, that was most teenage boys. I admit to myself, at one point I was kind of a nerve wrack when it came to that. Nowadays, you know, as a grown ass man, I'm like, I like what I like. You know what I'm saying? I like what's his name from Jujutsu Kaisen. I love me a big, tall, beautiful woman, Jennifer Lawrence, or yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, with her fine eyes. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's the reason why, you know, fan service does, you know, attract, you know, teenage boys a lot, because, you know, it pretty much tickles their, you know, fantasies about, you know, getting with these girls and stuff, knowing dang well like they probably won't. But you know, hey, a man can only dream unless they put in the work and actually do what they gotta do and then get it. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta do what you gotta do, even if you wanna do that all the time. All right, hold on, guys. But yeah, anyways, all I gotta say is that yeah, um, whenever that does happen, you know, teenage boys do get, you know, a little something going on because, you know, fan service is fan service, you know, especially in anime. So there can always like be the ones where it's like accidental stuff that, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't really want it, but it's so exciting and all this other stuff. So it's just kind of interesting to see. But yeah, I think that's the reason why. Um, I think I'm right about that. I'm not too sure, but honestly, you know what? No, never mind. I think I could be correct on a few things, so that I'll say. There might be some things I might be missing about that, but otherwise, I think that's kind of like the basis of, you know, why, you know, fan service, you know, always like tracks, you know, the younger demographics, mostly like teenage boys from the ages like, I don't know, 14 to sometimes even 20 years old. But I don't think you would count a 20-year-old being a teenager. So I would say, in that case, I would say, you know, between the ages of 14 to 19, I would say, or 18, depending on how it goes. But I think it's somewhat up there, or even, I guess, to a certain extent. I'm lowballing this 13, but, you know, it's just how it is. Um, can fan service be a detriment towards women in relationships? Man, this one's kind of tough to say because, like, it's a little conflicted because on one hand, you know, there are a few like, you know, women that, you know, do actually like fan service and they don't mind it. But on the other hand, there are like, you know, quite a lot that, you know, don't really like to be objectified in any sort of way, or just like, you know, I don't know. It's complicated to say because it really depends on the person. But majority of the time, from just what I've heard from, you know, online or whatnot, even from YouTube, from YouTubers here and there, that have like stated like, you know, they like it, but there also are some aspects where it's just like a little bit weird. So then, I just kind of like, think, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's a little weird, and it is, a bit. I don't know. Is it a bit objectifying? I mean, the whole purpose is like basically, essentially, they are like pretty much catering to the male fantasies. So maybe, I don't know. That was like a little bit tough to say. So any females, or sorry, not females. Any I guess, yeah, female viewers are watching my channel or whatnot, or women are watching my channel, or girls, whatever. Um, Let me know in the comments down below of your thoughts on like fan service, of whether or not you like it or don't like it. Do you find it, objectifying, or are you just like, I don't really care for it? Like, just let me know in the comments down below, and uh, I might probably make a follow up another time about this with better information, of course, from better sources. But otherwise, yeah, just let me know in the comments down below on that. But I would say, in my opinion, it can be sort of a detriment. I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, the thing is, I actually enjoy fan service at times. Like, when, it makes sense, just to, get my, sum on. But at the same time, I'm like, it can get a little annoying to just, like, always, like, see, like, even, like, really good characters being a bit objectified at times. So it's just like, ugh, you know, I can only like take so much of like, looking at like my favorite, character who just so happens to be a woman, fan service all the time. I would rather just like see what they're doing in the story. Again, I don't mind, them having like some like fan services elsewhere, or even just, in the show itself. Like, I really don't mind that, but it's just like, it's just hard to say. But yeah, it depends. It really, 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 really does. And can also be a detriment to in a relationship. It's also just saying, like, is watching adult content a lot of times, you know, a detriment in a relationship. Again, that also depends on the relationship between the two people that are in a relationship, whether or not, they are comfortable with their partners, doing their thing to the hub or whatever. So it really does. But I would say yes and no, but I would say more like no, because again, you know, if you're just, enjoying the content or whatnot, and you're just like, you know, doing whatever, then it's like, I don't think it's gonna be a detriment. The only time I would say it's a detriment, if let's say that your only satisfaction in the relationship is to, get your rocks off to like fan service instead of like doing it with your partner, then I would kind of say, yeah, it's definitely detriment, because you're valuing, things like entertainment, especially adult entertainment, over a relationship, which that is not good. That is absolutely not good. That is actually a addiction that a lot of people, well, most men, have to like, essentially deal with. So like, don't do that. Like, that's really, really bad. Um, but otherwise, yeah, no, it's not a detriment unless you have an addiction to that, and if that's the case, then go seek help. Just go seek help. That is not good. That is not healthy to be addicted to, entertainment, especially if it starts, put a detriment not only to, romantic relationship. This can also add into the friendship. This can add to the family. This can add to a lot of things. Heck, even yourself. It's gonna be a detriment even to yourself. So just be careful with that. All right, you know, just do it in a moderate pace. Or if you want to, I'm not really saying this, you could just cut it off completely and just like, watch something else. I don't necessarily recommend that. I'd rather you just, keep it at a, balance. But if it's really, really messing with you and it just doesn't provide anything for your life, then by all means, do what you gotta do, get rid of it. But otherwise, yeah, can fan service be a detriment towards women in relationships? Again, it's a yes and a no, depending on the person. But me personally, I would say it can be in certain areas, but not in a lot of areas. So all I gotta say is not entirely, but there are certain elements that it can be. So yeah, my answer is probably no, but depending on the circumstances. Anyways, I think that's all I gotta say. Um, is fan service mainly sexual in nature, or can it there be like different fan service that are not sexual? At least in anime, I would say there are certain like fan service that does have like references. I would say for this one because like I don't think anyone quite remembers this anime in particular, but Afro Samurai is definitely have some fan service, and yes, it also indeed has a lot more of that going on too. You know what I'm saying? Adult, contents of drugs and the whatever, all that other good nonsense. But there's like, cultural references, like, rap is like a big thing in there. And, Afro Samurai's like journey is also like, references to like a lot of things too. You know, a bit of a journey to the West sometimes, but also just a lot of like other fan service, like, I'm trying to think because there's like ones that are like in particular that stand out. Oh, like Zen and Buddhism. That's like a heavy big thing in there too, where it's just like being able to pretty much find enlightenment ish. At least in the game. In the movies, in the anime, it's a little bit different, and apparently in the manga too, where it's like that's a lot more darker. But like I would say, just as far as like the game goes, because I remember playing that at first, it's mostly about like finding your alignment, especially when you get to end. Again, spoilers, even though it's a very very old game. Like, still there are some spoilers at the end where it's like Alpha Samurai kills Justice, attains the number one headband, but something cool happens where he just pretty much like releases that, and then it's like really truly with one, with himself and then the world and all this other like cool stuff to see. And yeah, it just like ends such a beautiful way. It ends ambiguity because you never know what actually ends up happening, but it's just like the message is just like to truly find alignment, you don't really need status. You don't even need a whole headband. The number one and number two headband and stuff. And I'll probably get into that another time with Afro Samurai, which I will get into at some point. But like I won't go too much in depth with that. But it's just like the ones with like fan service that are like non sexual, at least from like what I've seen, is just like pop culture references to rap culture to Zen to a lot of like really really cool things, and just like the character design. Heck, even like Afro Samurai being based loosely off of a real life black samurai named Yasuke, and it's just really cool to see. It really really is cool to see. Um, but yeah, there are like certain things that are like our fan service that are like again non whatever at times. So it's just like it's few and far in between because majority of the time it does happen. Oh, or actually even no, Dragon Ball Z actually has that. Not like the actual show, but like what you call it, not Super Dragon Ball, the card game, whatever it's called, Dragon Ball Heroes. Dragon Ball Heroes. It has so many fan services, just ranging from like villains and characters, transforming and stuff. I'll give you guys a second real quick. But yeah, like to other references too, like um Future Trunks having the Super Saiyan God form to what else? God, what is that stupid character's name? Cable, what Kel or not Kel? Hold on a second. Anyways, it was Cumber. It was Cumber. It was Cumber. Okay. So like stuff like that, basically a Broly reject essentially. But yeah, just having like characters like Broly, turning Super Saiyan 4, um, Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Super Saiyan God Blue form Goku from this Dragon Ball Super Series fighting too, and all types of stuff. So that's the ones with like fan service that are like non-sexual. and stuff. But speaking of which, how do video games, or well, in any other media, handle fan service compared to anime fan service? I would say the ones I know a little bit more of would be, video games, a little bit with the comic books and some TV shows here and there, and movies. The way that they handle like fan service is a lot different. I mean, a lot different. I would say, for example, with video games in mind, I would say, as far as like more specifically in the fighting genre, I would say the fan service in that it can be like a little similar, but it's like completely different because I would say, for example, Street Fighters, especially Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6, where it's like, you know, you can dress your characters in any sort of silly way or, any sort of like fun way to, express either yourself or like how you want to envision your character in the, rosters. Like, for example, you can like envision Ryu wearing something like a Santa Claus outfit, or if you want to be also a degenerate, you can also see Chun Li, Cammy, or Yuri in different sorts of ways, especially in Street Fighter 5 and 6. And I remember, okay, side tangent. I saw this like thing going on with like with Street Fighter 6, where it's like apparently people are getting a little like mad about this whole situation with like Chung Li being like naked or whatever, even though it's just a mod. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, them guys are like weird about like just like trying to like censorize or say something about like these characters in like Street Fighters, or how Japanese handle their female characters compared to how the West handles their handles their female characters. Majority of the time, I gotta keep it real. Don't really like. So that's why I kind of cater towards, you know, more so anime and a little bit more Japanese media, because the way that they do their girls sometimes is completely different. Sometimes it's cute, sometimes it's sexy, sometimes it's a bit of blend of both, or just anything that's like a little bit more interesting. Whereas like for whatever reason here in the West or whatever, they want to essentially quote unquote ugly dyes their female characters from like the Mortal Kombat to other games. It's so weird. I'm like, why are y'all doing that? That's just weird. Like, let's just like keep it a buck here. The growth like sells. It does. Sex sells. So like, I don't know. I'll talk about it another time. But otherwise, just the way that they pretty much handle stuff. I'll even say, for example, even for comic books too, the way that they handle like fan service. I mean, the whole comic book industry is sometimes fan services. So it's like it can be a little bit of that, but it also can be a little bit like references to like such things that happen in events or in real life. Heck, even like Deadpool is a good example of like a fan service where it's like it's a character that breaks the fourth wall, that references things that happen in real life in our real time, you know stuff like that. So it's a little bit different, but the way that they mostly handle it is they don't tend to focus too much on the sexual aspects of it, and more just enjoying the series or whatever. Whereas like anime, you can have any type of like fan service. You can even have your little fan service as the regular teenage boys, whatever, or even sometimes if you're a girl, you might like a little bit of something more lovey, more plot, more about understanding the characters. Like shojo is a big thing. Heck, one of my favorite shojos is, of course, Inuyasha, X. I didn't watch a little. I did watch a little bit of Clannad, so I guess that counts. Toradora to a certain extent. Um. Oh. That made anime. I forgot what it's called. I'm sorry, guys. I know what it is. I just don't remember if it's like Maze Cafe or something. It has to be. It's basically, this like blonde dude and this other girl that's like secretly a maid, while like having to provide for a family and stuff, stuff like that. Oh, and X. I don't know if I already said it, but like, oh man, Oh man, X. That movie and the manga and even the show for a bit, like uh, the OVs or whatever. It's so good. OVW. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. Is it OVW? OVW, whatever. It's really good. But I digress. Otherwise, yeah. The way that other medias are able to handle their fan services is, mostly strictly towards either the male power fantasies or just like just a story focus wise. Whereas like anime can be a mix of that, or just sometimes, if not a lot of it, is a bit more. But anyways, I think that's all I gotta say about that. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with that, with like the difference with like video games, fan service compared to anime's fan service. And then also, speaking of which, let's go ahead and get to the final, topic here. The 7 ways of fan service or whatever, and that is there a right or wrong way to understand and or appreciate fan service? Um, this is a really good question because that depends on whether or not you like doing your thing or you like sexual things that happen. Because some people that are not like that at all, they don't really appreciate that, or they're asexual or whatever. Where it's like they don't really like all that, and they would rather prefer like a really nice story without it. Which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Also, if you're into all that stuff, I would say also nothing wrong with that. So I don't know. It's just like what I would say the wrong way for it, in my opinion, would be like if you just don't have like a fundamental of understanding like fan service, but then you start mocking people that are liking it by calling them whatever names, including the really strong word like pedophile or whatnot, or pedos or pedo bait, or whatever they freaking say on the twits or whatever. Is just very dumb, where they say the most and pretty much bastardizing the whole point of pedophilia. Because the thing about that is that there's a. Anyways, I'll get into that another time. Otherwise, that is definitely the wrong way. Is like accusing people of doing stuff like that, and or if you also use like that fan service as an excuse to think that, oh, this is like how relationships are, which no, it doesn't always pretty much act like that. Whereas like there's gonna be like you know moments where you know you're gonna be all like having all the girls and whatnot. I don't know. You could be him. You could be him. I can't say much on that, but I would still say like if you're getting like this idea that like oh, this would be like the best way to find love or to do your thing with another person. That is not gonna happen. That is definitely not gonna happen. And if you continue to try to like push that, then we get into like some serious legal troubles that it's just like highly unnecessary to do. So just don't do that. Just don't use fan service as an excuse to go around, being weird to women. Just don't do that. Please treat them with dignity and respect, and actually, don't treat them like a object. Please, like that's bad enough already. But yeah, that's just my opinion of like the wrong way to do it. The right way to understand and or appreciate fan service is just appreciate it as is. It's a fan service about silly things that goes down in a fictional setting. Keep in mind the word fictional. It's not a real thing. The stuff that goes down in fiction stays in fiction. The whole saying goes like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So like for example, the same thing applies to essentially fiction. Whatever happens in fiction stays in fiction. That's it. Can there be some caveats that can like be carried to real life? To a certain extent, yes. I mean, art imitates life and vice versa. That's just how it usually is. And anime and fan service is no exception. It's basically an art form. So, just appreciate, fan service as is, something that's like really good. And even if you don't really care for it, it's just like, again, at the end of the day, it's just, art stuff, you know. Yeah, anyways, guys, I think that's gonna have to be it when it comes to fan service and anime. Let me know in the comments down below of your thoughts of whether or not you agree or disagree with like how fan service is or isn't, or just anything else that is related to the topics that has been discussed in this video. Because like I said, I do want to like start having a bit more discussions on like these like certain topics and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. How we doing time here? Okay, we're doing okay. So let's go ahead and end this off by saying that whether or not you guys like it or don't, fan service will always be a thing in anime and any sort of media. So it's just best to just keep that in mind. Do not use fan service in a way to antagonize other people and or use it as an excuse to like go around using it to harass other people too. Like, for example, guy kind of doing to a girl saying like, oh, let's do the things that they would do in the anime, or just like thinking like the stuff that they saw in the fan service and the animes can like actually happen. Like, don't do that. Let's just keep it like, but don't do that shit. But at the same time, if you enjoy fan service, enjoy it as what it is. If you don't, then I understand. You can enjoy anything else. As like, I'm not gonna tell you what you can and cannot do. All I gotta say is just you just gotta at least understand what fan service is when it comes to anime or when it comes to any other media. So that's all I gotta say about that. Let me know in the comments down below again whether or not you agree with these points or disagree. And yeah, let's keep a discussion going. Anyways, this is your boy Shizeman21 signing out, and I'll see you guys in another video. Hope you guys have a good time. Hope you have a good night, good evening, morning, whatever you guys are watching this. And yeah, all I gotta say is stay awesome, stay peaceful, stay doing your thing, and also just stay being weird, because hey, we nerds, we still be out here doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Boom.